The whisper from locker 239. In the darkest corner of Millstone High School's hallway, there's one locker that no one ever touches. Locker number 239. The paint is faded, peeling, and the keyhole is rusted shut. Students passing by tend to quicken their steps when near it, and every teacher seems to pretend it doesn't exist. But every Friday night, the school's janitors, especially those new to the job, always hear whispering coming from behind the metal door. "I'm still here, still waiting." Usually, after a night hearing those whispers, the janitor either resigns or stops coming without notice. The story of locker 239 has become an urban legend at school. Students talk about it half-jokingly, but very few know the real story behind those voices. 20 years ago, there was a girl named Emily Crowhurst, a quiet, smart, and solitary girl. She always carried a small blue diary wherever she went. Rumor has it she had a bad relationship with a gym teacher, Mr. Grady, who suddenly retired without explanation. One autumn day, Emily disappeared. The police searched everywhere, but there was no trace. All that was found was her bag in the library. No farewell notes, no witnesses, no CCTV footage. For weeks, the school was tense. But gradually, life went on. Emily's disappearance became a grim memory, rarely spoken of. However, one strange thing remained since she vanished. Locker 239, which had never been locked before, suddenly couldn't be opened. Even the school's master key couldn't unlock it. When maintenance tried to break it open, they heard knocking from inside. Then it stopped. Since then, everyone left the locker alone. Until last week, a student named Travis Heller, mischievous and known for his daring, bet his friends he could open locker 239 and record what's inside. Travis brought a screwdriver, his phone, and that reckless teenage courage. He waited until late afternoon, after everyone had left. Carefully, he sneaked to the empty hallway and started prying the rusty lock. Took 15 minutes. Then a click. The door slowly creaked open. A sharp, foul smell immediately spilled out. Travis peeked inside. Empty, except for one item. A worn-out diary. It's covered dark blue-black, partially burned. Travis picked it up and flipped through the pages. The handwriting inside was messy, scratched as if by a trembling hand. Then he reached the last page. "He locked me in." I screamed, but nobody heard. "I'm still screaming. I'm still here." As he read this, his phone vibrated on its own. The screen lit up. There was one voice recording notification he didn't make. Recording 1 second. Curious, Travis played it. "I'm still here. Still waiting." Then another voice followed. "And now you are too." The hallway lights suddenly went out. Travis panicked and ran, dropping the diary. He tried to call, but there was no signal. Passing the teacher's lounge, he saw his reflection in the glass window. But the reflection didn't move with him. It only stared, then slowly smiled. His eyes were dark. His mouth was torn. Then everything went black. The next day, Travis didn't show up at school. Everyone thought he was skipping class, normal behavior. But when his mother reported to the school office that Travis hadn't come home since yesterday, panic spread. Police returned to Millstone High. They searched everywhere but found nothing. Except for one thing, Travis's shoes, found right in front of locker 239, facing inside, as if he was swallowed. Today, locker 239 is locked again. No one can open it. But since Travis disappeared, the whispers inside have become more frequent. Not just on Friday nights, but every night. And now there's an added voice. Still here, still waiting. There's room for one more. Note: some students swear they've seen Travis in their dreams, standing in the dark hallway, knocking from behind the metal door, begging, but he can't open his mouth. Only blood flows from his eyes. And if you stand long enough in front of locker 239, you can hear soft knocking from inside. Are you brave enough to pass it alone at night? If you hear the whisper, don't answer, because if you do, it will know you heard. And that means you can replace it. The substitute. In the third week of October at Green Hollow High School, the English teacher, Mrs. Fallon, suddenly took a leave of absence without explanation. The school didn't tell the students why. The next day, without any announcement, a substitute teacher showed up in class 11B. His name was Mr. Gray. Tall, thin, dressed neatly in an old-fashioned dark black suit. His skin was so pale it looked like wax. But the strangest thing was his eyes, or rather, the way he looked at you, as if he could see through your skin, straight into your mind. He taught quietly, his voice soft like a whisper, yet every word was clear in the usually noisy classroom. When he spoke, not a single student dared to interrupt. There was some strange power that made you want to be silent and listen. At the end of the first lesson, he said, "Your assignment this week is to write a short story about loss, but not ordinary loss. Write about someone who disappears and is never found." Some students chuckled quietly. Dylan Shore, one of the class's biggest pranksters, whispered to his friend, "This teacher looks like he just came out of a grave." When Mr. Gray turned his head without moving his body and stared directly at Dylan, the room fell silent as if dead. Dylan quickly looked away, his skin crawling. The next day, Dylan couldn't resist his curiosity. He secretly took a photo of Mr. Gray from under the desk. But when he looked at the picture on his phone, Mr. Gray's face had no eyes, only two dark holes like empty skull sockets, and his facial skin looked more wrinkled than in real life, like cloth folded for too long. "Guys, look at this," Dylan whispered to his friends. They crowded around his phone. Everyone saw the image and instantly stepped back. "Photoshopped, right?" one girl said. Dylan shook his head, growing worried. He tried to take another photo. This time, Mr. Gray was writing on the blackboard. But in the photo, the teacher stared straight at the camera, even though in reality, his back was turned to them. And in that picture, he was smiling. That night, Dylan disappeared. His mother found out he hadn't come home. The police only found his phone in his room, still on, the screen locked on the photo gallery. When his mother opened it, the last photo showed Mr. Gray's face getting closer, with a wider smile, blackened teeth, and eyes now present, dark, empty, as if staring back at whoever looked. The next morning, the atmosphere in Class 11B was tense. All the students talked about Dylan, but stranger still, Mr. Gray didn't show up. Another teacher replaced him and said, "We're looking for a permanent substitute." The previous teacher apparently was never officially registered. They checked the attendance book. Mr. Gray's name was still there, but not written with normal ink. It was in a thick dark red, with a sharp metallic smell. Some students claimed they dreamed of seeing Dylan standing in the school hallway, his eyes empty, his mouth moving like he wanted to speak, but no sound came out. To this day, no one knows who Mr. Gray really was. There's no record of him. The class photo taken that week showed an empty seat where the teacher should be. But if you zoom in on the background, in the shadow of the cabinet, there's a tall, thin figure smiling, staring directly at the camera. And legend has it, if you write a story about someone who disappeared and read it aloud in an empty classroom, you'll hear a soft voice whisper behind you. You know how it feels, don't you? And if you turn around, you might never leave that classroom again. Detention at midnight. Tyler Madsen was not a model student. He often caused trouble, skipped classes, and just last week he vandalized the library table with graffiti saying, "School is hell." As punishment, the principal called him to his office. But what surprised Tyler was not the scolding he received. It was the punishment itself. "You're scheduled for detention at midnight this Friday night," Principal Hadley said softly and flatly. Tyler laughed, thinking it was a joke. But Principal Hadley did not smile. "This is not an ordinary punishment, Tyler. It's meant to awaken a true sense of responsibility." Something about the way Principal Hadley spoke made Tyler uneasy. But since he was threatened with suspension if he didn't show up, he finally agreed. Friday night came. Tyler arrived at school wearing a black hoodie, carrying a coffee thermos, and his phone was on. He was recording himself for TikTok content, mocking the school and this weird punishment. "Yo, I'm gonna do detention at 12 midnight. Ridiculous, right? Look, the school's probably empty." But as he opened the school's front door, the main hallway lights switched on automatically. The air inside was cold like a refrigerator. No sounds, no night guard, except one light from the teacher's lounge upstairs. The light was warm, like someone was waiting. Reluctantly, Tyler climbed the creaking stairs. The door to the teacher's lounge was slightly open. He pushed it gently and froze instantly. All the teachers he knew were sitting silently in their chairs. Their bodies didn't move. Their heads were bowed. Their skin was pale gray. Their lips were blue. Their eyes were open, but empty, not blinking. And they were cold, not just ordinary cold. They seemed dead for a long time. Tyler trembled, breathing heavily. In the middle of the room was a round table. On it lay a sheet of paper with crude handwriting. "Write your reason for death here." Tyler laughed nervously, trying to stay rational. "Okay, this is a prank. Hidden cameras. A reality show or something." He backed away slowly, trying to open the door. But when he turned the handle, it was locked. He ran to the stairs. But now the corridors were longer, seemingly endless. The walls' paint had faded. The floors cracked. Photos of students on the walls looked old and dusty, like they were from decades ago. His phone vibrated. A new notification appeared. "Your detention is not over, Tyler." He stared at the screen. Then the camera switched on automatically. On the screen, he saw the shadow of someone standing right behind him, though the hallway was empty. When he turned around, no one was there, but the camera still showed the shadow approaching. Panicked and scared, Tyler returned to the teacher's lounge. All the teachers were still sitting in the same positions, but now their heads slowly lifted, staring at Tyler. Their eyes were all pitch black and empty. "Write it!" Their voices whispered in unison, though their mouths didn't move. His hand trembled as he reached for the pen on the table. He wrote, "Because I killed school hours. Because I fought time." As soon as he finished, all the teachers stood up at once. Then the lights went out. The next morning, school staff found the teacher's lounge locked from the inside. When they opened it, the room was empty. No one was there. The table was clean, except one chair with a neatly folded black hoodie on it, and a scrap of paper that read, "Detention is over, but my time is up." Tyler was never found again. Principal Hadley retired a month later, and every time a student insults the school or skips class, the teachers sometimes mumble, "Maybe they need midnight detention." The girl behind the mirror. On the second floor of Alderbrook High School, right at the end of a seldom-used hallway, there was a girls' restroom that was almost never used. Not because it was broken, but because of the old mirror hanging inside. The mirror was large, framed with carved wood that had started to crack. Its surface was no longer clear. It always seemed to have a thin fog on it, even though there was no steam. Among the students, it was nicknamed the Friend Mirror, because it was said to hold the spirit of a girl named Marissa Tate. Marissa was once a popular student at this school 25 years ago. Smart, beautiful, and always with her childhood best friend, Claire Dennings. They were like sisters, but something happened. During the year-end art competition, only one winner would be sent to the national level. Marissa won. Claire lost. That night, Claire invited Marissa to the second-floor restroom, saying it was to make up. The next morning, Marissa was found dead, her neck broken, her face bruised blue, and Claire vanished without a trace. There were no CCTV cameras in that area, but one eyewitness swore they saw Claire leave the restroom with hands covered in blood, smiling. The restroom was locked for many years, but eventually it was opened again. And from that moment, the legend of the girl behind the mirror began to spread. It was said that if you stood in front of that old mirror and said 3 times, "Are you still my friend?" then something would happen. The mirror would start to fog up, no matter how cold the room was. Slowly, your reflection would change. Your eyes would bleed. Your face's skin would tear. And the face staring back at you from behind the glass would no longer be yours, but hers. And when you tried to look away, you'd realize you were alone. But a cold hand was holding yours. Thursday afternoon, a group of 11th grade girls, Jenna, Rachel, and Lacey, decided to try the ritual. They had heard the story from last year's seniors, who said it was just a hoax. Jenna wanted to record it for TikTok. "If it really happens, it'll go viral," Jenna said. "What if we get cursed?" Lacey asked. Rachel shrugged. "If she's a friend, she wouldn't hurt us, right?" They sneaked into the restroom. The light inside was dim and flickering. The cold air bit at their skin. The old mirror stood like a silent guardian. The 3 stood before it. Holding hands, they said, "Are you still my friend? Are you still my friend? Are you still my friend?" Silence. A few seconds passed. Jenna raised her phone, but the camera showed nothing. The screen was completely black. Then, the fog started appearing on the mirror's surface. Slowly, like breath from the other side. Rachel was the first to see her reflection change. Her eyes bled, her cheeks tore open. She screamed and stepped back but stumbled and fell. Jenna saw her own face fade and shift into a strange face. Marissa's pale and staring with empty eyes. Lacey couldn't move. Her mouth opened but no sound came out. She felt something gripping her hand. Tightly. Cold. like a corpse's hand. They ran out of the restroom in a panic. Rachel sobbed. Jenna slammed her phone on the floor. Lacey still held her own hand, as if unable to let go of that feeling. The next day, Lacey didn't come to school. Rachel was found locked in her bathroom, writing the word "friend" on the mirror with her own blood. Jenna tried deleting the video she recorded that night, but the file wouldn't delete. Every time she pressed delete, the file multiplied, and in every new video, the face in the mirror changed. Now there were not just one, but three, including them. A teacher tried to lock the restroom again, but every night, footsteps and whispers could be heard behind the door. "Are you still my friend? Are you still my friend?" And every Friday morning, the mirror appeared larger, as if it was opening a door to another world. The janitor's basement. At Oak Ridge High School, there was one unspoken rule every student understood well. Never go down to the basement. It was hidden behind an old metal door in the west hallway. A damp, dim corridor near the art room. No label, no light, and the door was always locked with a thick rusty chain. That was Mr. Griggs' territory, the school janitor. An old man with messy white hair, always wearing a blue work uniform with pockets full of keys and a small folding knife. Mr. Griggs rarely spoke. His gaze was empty, and if you stared too long into his eyes, it felt like a sharp needle was piercing your brain. But what made him truly terrifying was the rumor about his past. According to alumni stories, Mr. Griggs used to be a surgeon, a genius in human anatomy. But he lost his license after a tragic scandal. They said he experimented on living patients. Some bodies were never found. No one could prove it. No official records. But the whispers spread, especially since the smell of carbolic acid and metallic blood sometimes wafted from behind the basement door at night. And every year, at least one student transferred schools without explanation, or disappeared, always after getting too curious about the basement. Friday night, 11:45 p.m., Liam Carver, an 11th grader, was the type of reckless, brave kid. He was convinced it was just a myth to scare new students. He wanted to prove it and record everything for his YouTube channel. Armed with a flashlight and a GoPro camera, Liam sneaked to the west hallway. He had stolen a duplicate key from the principal's office a week ago. Breathing heavy, torn between nerves and excitement, he unlocked the chain and pushed the old metal door. Creak! A spiral staircase of rusty iron greeted him, descending into endless darkness. The sharp metallic scent hit his nose like old blood drying, but he kept going step by step. After 20 steps, he reached a narrow hallway with moss-covered concrete walls. His flashlight swept over strange red writings on the wall. They said I was wrong, but they screamed the same. Flesh tells the truth. Liam's heart pounded harder, but he kept recording. The iron door at the end of the hall was slightly ajar. He pushed it gently. Inside was an operating table. An old hanging lamp swung above it like a pendulum. Rusty surgical tools, saws, knives, forceps were neatly arranged. The walls were stained with dried blood splatters. And on a metal tray, a human heart was still beating. Liam stepped back. His camera nearly slipped from his hands. But before he could run, crack! Heavy boots hit the concrete floor. From the dark corner, Mr. Griggs appeared. His face calm, but a slow, creepy smile spread. "Good," he said, his voice rough like gravel. "One more, for the collection." Liam spun and ran, but the stairwell door slammed shut and locked from the outside. He pounded and shouted for help. No answer. Behind him, footsteps grew closer. His breath came faster. The camera fell, still recording as Mr. Griggs' shadow swallowed the last light in the room. Monday morning, the school announcement said Liam had run away from home. But oddly, all videos on his YouTube channel were automatically deleted, even those archived by his friends. His phone was nowhere to be found. Now, whenever students pass the west hallway, they sometimes hear strange sounds behind the metal door. Whimpering, then laughter, and a heartbeat. Slow, but real. Mr. Griggs? He still shows up every day, sweeping floors, without a single word. But now, one extra key hangs on his belt. Small, rusty, and stained with blood. Who's next? That depends on who's foolish enough to be curious.